YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a discovered on the movie 8th Grade. Now if you don't know what the movie 8th Grade is, it's kind of a indie movie about basically the life of a young 8th grade girl who has extreme anxiety, and not extreme, but like a lot of anxiety, which naturally so when you're in middle school, because who didn't have anxiety in middle school, okay? And it's basically about her last week of middle school before she goes into high school and how she navigates the waters of 8th grade. The main character's name is Kayla, and she's extremely awkward. She is very quiet. She has a lot of anxiety, and she does YouTube videos and tries to give advice to other awkward kids on the internet. And she just has a really hard time dealing with her life. Her mom left the family when she was like really little, I guess. So she's being raised by her father. And it's basically the tale of a suburban young girl who has a lot of anxiety and is a quiet girl dealing with life in the 8th grade as it winds down and she goes on her way to being in high school. And, there are different parts in the movie that, exemplify basically 8th grade for a lot of kids. A few of those things are being invited to a popular girl's pool party by her mother, going to said pool party, and feeling the anxiety of 1,000 kids, right? So she gets invited, Kayla, the main character, gets invited to this popular girl's pool party and gets invited by the popular girl's mom. And so she ends up going because she got invited, and sadly Kayla doesn't really have friends, so she will take any opportunity to go be social, right? Even though she's not a social person, she wants to be social. She wants to have friends. She doesn't want to have this crippling anxiety, but it's happening and she has to deal with it. So she decides to go, and it's awkward. She goes, she meets the popular girl's cousin, and they actually start hanging out a little bit at the party. But then she gets drawn away because the mom wants to take pictures with all the girls there. And this is a co-ed party, by the way. And so she goes to take the picture with all the girls. And she actually, when she goes to take the picture, because there's like a group of girls, right? She goes to go into the back of the picture. But the mom says, "Oh, Kayla, we can't see you. Come into the front," to make a big deal about it. Which, can I just say something? Moms, dads, parents of all kinds, I know you guys mean well. And I know as we become adults, we tend to forget about certain things that bothered us when we were kids. So when we become adults and have kids of our own, we automatically do the same thing our parents did. And by doing that, we're not fully understanding that these kids are under a lot of stress, pressure, anxiety of trying to fit in, of trying to be something, trying to have friends, not be awkward, and not be gawked on. And it's like the mom meant well because, moms mostly do. But this mom doesn't fully understand that her daughter is really mean. Like, she's the mean popular girl. And she doesn't seem to understand that. So when they're around this table and everybody's giving presents to the popular girl because it's her birthday, the popular girl's friends are all giving her gifts and she loves them. And then Kayla gives her gift, which is like, she says it's like a more fun version of Go Fish, which to me, that's cool. I'd be like, that's a cool gift, whatever. You can play it, whatever. The popular girl looks at it, she's like, what is this? Like, all moody. And it's like, Kayla tries to explain it to her, and she just looks at her like stupid, like, what? And as the viewer, you're just like, you know what? One day you're not gonna have friends. One day you're going to have to work a crappy job, somewhere crappy. Maybe you're going to have a boyfriend or a husband. He's going to cheat on you. Lots of things are going to happen to you because you're not being nice to this girl right now. And so I would change your attitude, Miss Missy. Like, it's stuff like that. And she has this crush on the popular boy in school, and, she just can't help it. She just really likes him. And of course, the shy girl is always like the popular boys in school, whatever. I never did, but that's because I could give two craps about school. When I was in 8th grade, I did not care about school, and that meant like literal school, like education, and also like the people in school. Like, I had to be dragged from my house to go to even school in the first place. I hated school with a capital H. Oh, it was the worst. It was the worst. And I was like, that's why I never did any after school activities. I would never stay after school if I didn't have to. Like, there was so much. I was like, I'm not. Like, the school, me, school, no. It ain't happening. And so that's why, in middle school and in high school, I just didn't care. Like, I just didn't care. Like, I didn't care. Like, I didn't care about school. I didn't care about, the extracurricular and, like, the whole whatever of school either. Like, I just didn't care. Like, it was stupid to me. Like, it was literally stupid to me. Like, the fact that I had to be in that school for 8 hours was too much for me. And I couldn't handle it. So I was like, I'm not going to stay extra. Except for junior and senior year, when I created the Native American Club, which I created with me and my best friend, and that was cool. So other than that, I didn't do the after school thing. I didn't stay after school for just any old reason. I didn't hang around school just to, hang around. I wasn't into the whole whatever school spirit crap. Like, I didn't care. And so with me not caring, it was like whatever. So if I was ever approached by like popular kids trying to get, trying to like hang out with me and then make fun of me, or like a popular kid's mom trying to invite me to a party and then the kids at the party like pretty much ignore me, like none of that stuff was going to happen because I wasn't going to hang out. So I didn't care. Like, it was like, you make me go to school, fine. But when the bell rings and it's 2:50, 3 o'clock, deuces. I am not staying. You can't make me. And, throughout my adult life, my friends have called me very apathetic and very go with the flow, which is a very real statement because I just didn't care. In high school and middle school, I just didn't care. I didn't care. Like, I didn't care. And so when I hear a lot of stories, even take this movie, like, yes, for me, I can relate to Kayla a lot. Like, I was the very quiet girl, and I did have anxiety. Not like her level, because her level of anxiety is a lot. It's a lot. Like, she can't even form full sentences without getting nervous on the spot, right? And I'm quiet. I don't like public speaking. It's like the worst thing for me. And I do have anxiety to a degree, social anxiety for the most part. But at the same time, I think the reason that anxiety and certain things haven't affected me so much in my life is because I don't give two craps about a lot of things that most people care about. Like, I don't care that I'm 27 and I don't have a boyfriend. I don't care that, when I was in middle school and high school, I had friends, so it didn't matter to me, I guess. And also, even though I was quiet and like, whatever, I just didn't care about the normal things that I guess kids cared about back then. So I just was like, whatever. Like, I went to school. I have dyslexia, so school already was hard for me, like, academically. So I was like, already having to deal with that crap. So it was like, dealing with like the social aspect of it was not about to happen. So all I really did was I went to school. I was there after I got off the bus. I'd listen to my music, hang out with my friends for a little while, go to my classes, have lunch with my friends if I had lunch with them, if they were in the same lunch period as me, and basically go about my day, and then deuces leave the school. And then I would go home. I would attempt to do my homework because 9 out of 10, I was very confused about what the heck I was doing with my homework anyways. And then I would listen to more music and hang out with my friends if, whatever. And that's about that. And, I'm an introvert. So for me, like, it's less about having anxiety. It's less about being quiet. It's more that I just like to have my own personal space. Like, I just get my life being alone. And a lot of people can't deal with that. But I'm that type of person who just, as an introvert, oh, I get my whole entire life when I'm alone. Like, I get my whole entire life. I live for being alone. And so I think that was really big for me. So I didn't go out a lot growing up. Me and my friends would go, to the mall at times, and, I would hang out with my best friend every now and again whenever she had time or whatever. She was dealing with a lot back then, so there was a lot going on with her, but, like stuff like that. And it would be like every few weeks I would hang out and whatever. And that's the same with me as an adult. Now, I blame that mostly on my introvertness, but also, when you're an adult, you broke. So you can't go out all the time because you got to save up that money. Yes, 2017, 2018, 2019, broke adults. It happens. So anyways, so back to the movie. So, Kayla likes that popular boy, and, she's just coming out and trying to be confident and trying to be more talkative and trying to be more out there. But sadly, it just doesn't work because, the popular kids are all, just awful people, and they don't really care about her. And, she was even willing to give this popular boy a blowjob, even though knowingly that she doesn't know how to do one, but she just wanted to be out there. And, the reason why this boy broke up with the popular girl in the first place was because she wouldn't send him any, like, nude pictures. And it's like, you're in 8th grade, first of all. But, I mean, kids did way worse when we were in, like, elementary school. But we don't need to get into that. But things like that happened in my school. So, but anyways, so it's like, really? Like, really? Like, really? And then, this is the suckish part. So, you know how you have those days where some schools have them, some schools don't, but you have the day where you basically go and shadow a person from the high school, or if you're in elementary school, you go shadow somebody from the middle school, or you go visit it or whatever. So, Kayla had this girl who she was shadowing from the high school, and this girl is really sweet. She's super nice. She's so nice to Kayla. She really cares about Kayla's feelings. Like, she really hypes her up. She lets her know that she's really cool. She's really down for her. She really wants her to feel like she's important and all these things. And so she invites her to hang out with her and her friends at the mall one day. And so Kayla's ecstatic because she has no friends. And so she decides to go to the mall and hang out with them. So while she goes to the mall to hang out with them, it's like basically her shadow partner and her 3 friends. And, she has these 2 guy friends, and they're both kind of jerks, actually. But, whatever. So on the ride home, when Kayla and her shadow friend is getting a ride from the shadow friend's friend, who's a guy, they decide to drop off Kayla's shadow friend first, and then Kayla's getting a ride home from Kayla's shadow friend's friend, the guy, right? And so they drop off the shadow friend, and they're driving back to Kayla's house. And why, I don't know, but Kayla's shadow friend's friend stops the car and gets in the back seat to try to talk to her, right? So he starts trying to play a game of truth or dare, which is so lame, by the way. Like, if you're trying to get into her pants, that was the lamest way. But you know that she's a little introverted, anxiety-ridden 8th grader, so you know she doesn't know what she's doing. So you knew how to prey on her, and that's messed up. But anyways, and I really hope they don't tell you their ages with the people that are in high school. They don't tell you the ages of them, so we don't know what grade they're in. But I really, really, really pray that whoever it is not 18. Because Kayla's only like 13 or 14. And you're a pervert, because when they're in the car and he's trying to play truth or dare with, so Kayla's in the backseat of the car with the shadow friend's guy friend, and he's playing truth or dare with her, and they go back and forth. First it's truth or dare, she says truth, smart on her, and he says something stupid like, oh, how far have you gone? And she's like, oh yeah, I've gone to third base. And he's like, really? And she's like, oh, no, wait, second base. Oh, I keep getting them mixed up. And then he's like, it's okay if you haven't gone very far. And she's like, yeah. And then she asks him, like, truth or dare. And he's like, dare. And then she's like, she can't think of a dare. So basically she goes, well, what kind of dare would you like to do? And he's like, should I take my shirt off? And she's like, okay, whatever. And then he takes his shirt off because he's random. And then he does truth or dare to her again. And she's like, truth. And he's like, so she says truth. And then basically he says, well, that's lame. And she goes, oh, sorry, dare. And then he's like, take your shirt off. And she's like, no, I'm not really comfortable doing that. And he's like, come on, take your shirt off. And she's like, no, I don't, like fumbling around the words. And then he's like, come on, do it. And she's like, no. And I was like, yes, be assertive. And then he's like, and she's like, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with that. And then he just basically like doesn't look at her, goes back into the front seat. And then they go to a conversation where she's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, stop saying I'm sorry. And then he's like, you're just going to hook up with some random guy, and I was trying to save you from that. Like, your first time's going to be horrible, and I was just trying to save you from that. And she just basically like, okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm just, like, not comfortable like that. Like, I'm only, like, basically she's only in 8th grade. Like, what the heck are you doing? And she's like, don't tell Olivia, her shadow friend. Like, she's like, don't tell her. And then she, like, gets out of the car when he drops her off. She goes to the house, runs up the stairs, crying, and just shuts her door. So her dad goes and finds her and, tries to comfort her. But it's just like, that was so foul. That was so foul to mess with her. Like, that's not cute at all. That's not cute. Like, you're an older person. You've been through things, clearly. And to do that to a poor, innocent little 8th grader, that's not cute. But that situation actually makes her a little bit more confident. So she has this box. Everybody made a box. The first, like, I think the ending of 6th grade, they made a box. And they put a video on there and, like, some items in there. And basically it's like a treasure chest kind of box where they look back at it, the ending of 8th grade, and they see what they said to themselves at the beginning of the ending of 6th grade, right? And basically she looks at the video and, her 6th grade self is saying all these wonderful things about her and like, hope you have a boyfriend, hope you're really happy, I hope you're dealing with all these things really well, I hope you're happy and ready to be in high school, like all these things, right? But then she gets really, really, really sad. And so she asks her dad if they can burn it in the backyard. And so he's like, okay. And he doesn't really fully understand because during this whole movie, which is something that I've seen a lot with 8th graders, middle school kids, high school kids, whatever, they have a hard time dealing with their parents. Sometimes your parents aren't even doing anything that's really bad. Like, sometimes your parents are just trying to be there and love you. But because of your overall anxiety, your overall introvertedness, just the pressure of being that age, it's hard to relate with your parents. So I get it. So she has a really hard time dealing with her father, and he just wants to make sure that he's doing the right thing because, when you're a single dad and the mom's not there and you're raising a daughter, it's so hard, and I completely understand. So, he's just trying to be the best father he can be. And they don't always see eye to eye because she's usually yelling at him. But, he just tries to relate with her. And, as most fathers do, he just sees her as his whole entire world. And she doesn't see herself that way. And they have this really amazing heart-to-heart while she's burning her little 6th grade treasure chest thing. They have this really beautiful heart-to-heart, and he just basically explains to her how beautiful and amazing and awesome that he thinks she is, because she asks him, when you look at me, do I make you sad? And he said, no, you don't make me sad. You actually make me the happiest person on earth. And it's a really sweet conversation that they have, because Kayla says that she would be sad if she had a daughter who was like her, had really bad anxiety, very introverted, didn't talk a lot, and was going through the same issues that she was going through. Like, she would not be able to handle it. And it made me sad, because I was like, well, wow. Like, she was like, of course I would love my daughter. Like, I'm her mom. I would love her. But it would make me sad if I knew that she was like this. And the dad says, but you don't make me sad. You make me so happy. You bring me so much joy just by being you. And they really had this opening up moment, and it was so beautiful. And she just gives him this big hug, and it's a beautiful moment. And then after that, it basically transitions into her graduation day, and she goes up to the popular kids, because there's this scene where after the pool party, she gives the popular kids, the girls, she gives them this note basically thanking them for inviting her to the party. And weeks go by, the rest of the week goes by, clearly. This is a 1 week, at the end of 8th grade. So 1 week basically goes by. It's graduation day, and lo and behold, they, of course, don't read the note and don't even say thank you, send her a DM, do anything to acknowledge the fact that she gave them a note. So she's like, fine. So she goes up to the popular kids, the popular girls, and she basically says, look, I gave you the note. You didn't even respond to it. You didn't DM me. You didn't Instagram me, Facebook me, and Snapchat me, whatever. You didn't even respond. And that's rude. Like, why? And then basically goes off on them. And I'm like, yes, double yes. And she's like, that's not cool. I'm a nice person. You're clearly not. So, yeah. Like, get your life. And walks away. And it's the best scene in the movie. After graduation, we actually see her hanging out with popular kid's cousin's house. And basically, they start hanging out. And basically, they learn that they're both nerdy introverts with anxiety, and they're really nervous to hang out with each other, but it's so cute. And she finally found somebody who actually likes the things she likes. Like, he likes Rick and Morty, she likes Rick and Morty. They both like chicken nuggets, apparently. Like, it's cute, and he actually likes her genuinely for her. He watches her YouTube videos, he really likes those, and she just has a good time. And when she gets back in the car with her dad, after he picks her up, he says, did you have a good time? And genuinely, with a genuine happiness in her voice, she says, yes, I did enjoy myself. And that was a real milestone. So basically, the movie ends with Kayla basically doing another treasure chest type of box, where she buries it in the backyard with her dad. And she does another video to herself, basically from 8th grade her to her 18-year-old senior year of high school self, and basically checks in on herself and asks her how she's doing, if she has a boyfriend, if she'll miss all her friends from high school, how, getting into colleges, all the things. And it basically ends with her actually gaining some confidence and some happiness. And I thought that was wonderful. Overall, I did like this movie a lot. It had a lot of really cringe inducing parts to it, but cringe inducing parts in a real way, a really real way, where kids today, kids when I was growing up, kids when my siblings were growing up, all have dealt with these things. There have always been that introverted, anxiety-ridden kid, and kids who have had to deal with the things that Kayla's dealt with in this movie and continue to deal with, And I think it's really awesome that they decided to make a movie about this kind of thing, because it's real, They always make movies that are very glorified about high school and about middle school and about, these very important times in kids' lives where they basically shape and mold themselves, And what's really interesting about middle school and high school specifically is that we put a lot of stress, time, and labor into trying to be cool and trying to not be, messy and trying to be, have the cool friends and hang out and do all the things that we think we're supposed to do during those times. And then when we grow up, college happens. We do a bunch of stuff in college that we think we're supposed to do. And then we get out of college, we're out of high school, we're out of middle school. And we really start to look at ourselves. And we look at our friends, we look at our peer group, and we just look at things. And we start to really, really realize, none of that mattered. Not any of that was important. None of that. None of what we thought was so important in middle school, high school, college is important. None of it. And it's like, it's good learning moments, duh, but it's not important. None of that stuff is important. And I think it's really sad that there are kids out there right now dealing with these things, having this type of anxiety, don't have friends and are trying to make friends and dealing with all of these social awkwardness of being 14, of being 13, of being in high school, and can't deal with it. But down the road, we'll probably be the coolest people that anybody will ever know, have the best jobs, and just be living their life to the fullest, happy as can be. But for some reason, it's just like middle school and high school put that stupid pressure on kids to be set in this mold. And I never fully understood it. And like I said, I didn't give two craps about any of that type of stuff. So for me, it was never a big deal. But I totally understand why it is a big deal for other kids. You know what I mean? Like, I dealt with it, of course. I'm not going to say that I didn't, because every single kid deals with that. But I didn't deal with it to the extreme that other kids have, because I didn't really care. You know what I mean? Like, I cared to a small degree, but not to the point where I was going to let it hurt and harm my well-being in life. Because I just didn't care that much, you know what I mean? And now that I'm 27 years old, been through high school, been through middle school, dealt with it all, I can affirmly say that it was all a bunch of BS. And it was nothing that was super worth it at all. Like, none of it was really worth it. And to be honest, as unhappy as I was in middle school and high school for various reasons, and I'm not fully happy with myself at this point in 2019. I'm still going through a lot, and I'm still dealing with a lot in myself. But I can say that I'm a lot happier now than I ever was in middle school and high school, because both middle school and high school sucked. And I can say that with so much passion. It sucked. But we got through it. I got through it. And now I'm on the other side. And I can say with passion that all of that was stupid and unnecessary. And that it gets better. And I know it's cliche. I know that's cliche. But honestly, it does. And once you become an adult, none of that matters anymore. And it's like, now you have the freedom to be who you are so honestly. And I know that kids now are growing up in the social media age, so it feels like that's a never-ending way of putting more and more pressure on you as a person. But you have to be like, take me for example. I do put myself out there on social media. I do, use it a lot. But I use it to my advantage. For the most part, I put positivity on social media. I try to raise awareness for social causes and social justice issues. And I like to have a lot of fun on social media. And listen to a lot of music and recommend music to new people. And just have fun. Because if I'm not having fun, there's no point. I'm not going to let it stress me out. And I think that was the problem with just middle school, high school, social media. We let it bog us down. We let it get to us. We let it harm our self-esteem. And for what? For what? For what? We don't need to. So I just wanted to say that this movie was really good. And if you're currently in 8th grade, if you're currently in middle school at all, high school, whatever, just know that it's not that serious, like, at all. And the other side is a lot better. And, once you're able to just be your own person without anybody telling you that whatever you're trying to be is wrong, and that you're not cool, you're not popular, you're not whatever, the better. Because it's just not worth it, man. It's just not worth it. And this movie teaches you that. It's not worth it. Find the people that are willing to hang out with you. Find the people that are into the things you're into. Because that's all you need in your life. Just find the people that love you for you. Okay? That's all. We don't need the haters. Okay? Because haters gonna hate. Players gonna play. Ballers gonna ball. And that's the truth. Okay? Shout out 3LW. Anyways, I just wanted to recommend another show that I think is really great that talks about, middle school life and just the ins and outs of, the middle school and young adolescents. It's a show on Hulu, and it's called Pen 15, and it basically is about these two best friends who are living their life going to school, middle school, 7th grade, in the year 2000. And it's really for kids who actually grew up in the 2000s. It's a throwback, so you can watch it and laugh about all the crazy things you did when you were that age, or even just living in the 2000s in general. But for kids today, it's also a really great telling of a story of two best friends who had to go through daily life in middle school. And like, 8th grade, which this show is a little bit more comedy version of 8th grade, but still talks about some issues. So I think it's important. So I'm glad they're making these types of young adult, adolescent, teenage realness, because I think that a lot of the teen movies they made back when I was growing up were not real depictions of teenage life, and always made the nerdy, awkward kid, the kid with lots of anxiety, the quiet kid, out to be a loser, when we just needed to find our group. We needed to find our mojo, and that's all we needed. So these are really great examples of really great, times that can be scary and hard and awkward, but we get over them and we get through them and we live our life. So yeah, this was discovered on 8th grade. Check it out if you want to. And until next time, peace and blessings.